Roll call.
Mayor Pearson. Councilwoman Abshir.
Here.
Councilman DeGaris.
Here.
Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Councilman Tinsley.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Here.
Here.
We have 5 present.
Disclosure of interest. Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with any matter discussed in a previous meeting. Citizens input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on a matter which is not on the printed agenda. Yes, ma'am, just step to the podium and give your name and address, please, for the record.
Yes. I'm Carol Davis. I live at 2630 North 14th Street. My neighbor and I have been here a number of times regarding our issues with the ditch between our properties. And we have finally signed a contract with a company who will fix retaining walls for us. We're running into the problem of the unimproved lot back behind us is very overgrown. There's brush, tree clippings, everything else people are throwing in there. This property sits between 2641 and 2643 Linda Lane. The contractors came out this morning with the backhoe ready to go. And there's so much water backed up in this ditch from that mess back behind that, you know, we've called code enforcement. Nothing's ever been done. We raised this issue at the council meeting here on April 6th. And there was some discussion among some of you as to what, you know, how to go about getting that problem fixed. And I have prepared some copies of some ordinances that I think might be applicable if y'all would like to take a look at them. I've made a copy for each of them. Might answer some questions. But the bottom line is we cannot get our ditch fixed until that property is cleared so the water will drain on through as it's supposed to. So,
Ma'am, we have been working on it.
I know.
I got a letter here that we wrote to Varma.
Oh,
I've got a return letter. I can't find it right now, but I will, where he's going to help do this. So we have been working on it
okay.
to do this. Dennis, you approach, please. I believe you gave me a letter today from Dr. Varma, didn't you?
Yes.
On this.
It was the letter that went to Dr. Barnes.
Right, okay.
Our friend Barnes.
Right,
And we did meet with him Friday.
okay.
My code, or not my code enforcement officer, but that's the police department. My building inspector and myself met with Mr. Varma and his maintenance person. And we walked that back part between the two addresses, 2341 and 2343, I believe,
Yeah.
Lindsay Lane.
Yes.
And we walked that, showed them the issues, and obviously it's pretty wet back there as it is, you know, most everywhere else.
Yeah.
I said, I understand that you can't put heavy equipment in here right now because you're gonna tear it up pretty bad just getting through. I said, cut your brush out within the next couple of weeks, and we're gonna come back and look at it, and then you're gonna have to take material out of that where it's silted in, rocks and brush and leaves and everything built up in there. So that's gonna have to be opened up down
Okay.
below you there. And that's what you're talking about, that it won't let the water move through.
Right, right.
Okay. And we did have a meeting, 1:30, 2 o'clock, Friday afternoon.
Okay, you say it has 2 weeks to clear it up?
It's going to have to dry up.
He's going to be cutting the brush out over the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then after that, hopefully it will dry up, it'll quit raining, it'll dry up, because we don't want him to tear it up worse than what it is. We want it to look, we want him to be able to maintain it afterwards, because that's the
understand.
idea, is that
Yes.
we get it cleared up and then it's maintained
Yeah,
afterwards.
keep it clear.
That's part of the problem, is it wasn't maintained previously.
No, it was not. All
But-
right.
But
Well,
Dennis and I have been working on this ever since Mrs.
good.
Goodwin called us,
Okay.
and we, you
I
know,
wouldn't mind having a copy of what the ordinance you're talking about.
well, I wouldn't either if you could give it to me, please.
There's one for everybody if you want to take one and pass it around.
All right, thank you.
Just for your husband.
All right.
that in and I can get a copy later.
Okay, we appreciate any help the city will do.
Thank you.
Does that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you very much.
Any other citizen input? Then we will proceed to item A, in accordance with section 110.040 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, entitled Compensation of Councilman. The Assistant City Manager will present each council person their salary of services for the City of Poplar Bluff fiscal year 2014-2015.
Thank you, Mr. Russian. Yes, tonight I get the privilege of paying all the council member for their year's service, and I know when you parked outside, you probably didn't see a Brink security truck because they only get $1 per year. So I'm going to give each of them a plaque and honor them and thank them.
Also, I'd like to point out this year that the plaques are different. Councilman Johnson made these plaques, the wooden part made out of walnut,
Yes.
and they're very pretty. They say the City of Poplar Bluff presents to David Johnson $1 compensation in appreciation and gratitude for outstanding service to the community as City Councilman at Large for 2014-2015, presented this 20th day of April 2015. All of them say the same thing, and it just has a different name on it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Appreciate your service.
That's Councilman Tinsley, so we just want to sit up there and make sure he gets it.
You can't see it. We don't have a camera, no one does. And this is presented to Jack Russian.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Councilwoman Abshire.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. And Councilman DeGarra. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it. And we also have a plaque for the Mayor Pro Tem with a gavel, presented to Jack Russian in recognition of outstanding service and leadership to the City of Poplar Bluff as Mayor Pro Tem for the year 2014-2015, presented this 20th day of April 2015. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Item B, the city clerk will present to the city council for the approval the abstract of the votes cast in the municipal election held Tuesday, April 7th, 2015.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Russian. Each council person received a copy in their packets of the certified results from the county clerk's office. In the second ward, the incumbent, Ed DeGarris, ran unopposed and was elected with 188 votes. And in the fourth ward, we had two persons that filed. Philip Crocker had 410 votes, and David Lorwood had 98. And so Philip Crocker is the councilman for the fourth ward. And that needs to be accepted by the council. Motion and second.
I need a motion.
I make the motion that we accept these.
I need a second.
Second.
You just do by, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations to our electees. Item C, retiring city councilman from the second ward, Ed DeGarris, will address the city council.
I'd just like to say it's been an honor serving as council representative for the second ward for the past 6 years, and looking forward to the next 3 on it. I've talked to a lot of people, got to meet a lot of great people in town, and the amount of love that they have for our town and want to see it growing is just amazing. I mean, it comes out in everyone when you're talking to them. It's been a pleasure to work with them, listen to them. You know, all this comes out when they're agreeing with me or when they're disagreeing with me. That's still, you know, that love for our town still comes out. And the main concern that I've heard from a lot of them in the last little bit was they're losing confidence in our city government, and that's something that we need to work on really hard to build back up. for our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Item D, retiring Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman at Large Jack Rushing will address the City Council. It's been a pleasure to serve on the council. We've had a lot of challenges that we've had to face in the very first year that I've come on board that we've dealt with. We still have more challenges ahead. I think with the community coming together and pulling together and working with department heads and looking for solutions to some of these problems, I think we can prevail. Looking forward to working with the community on such concerns as the next year approaches. Thank you very much. Then item E, the mayor is not present, so she will not be making a comment. She's ill this evening. Item F, city clerk, we're swearing the newly elected council members.
At this time, if I could have Mr. DeGaris and Mr. Crocker come forward. Stand right here in front of you. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Phil Carter,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and that of the state of Missouri
and of the state of Missouri,
and of the ordinances
and of the ordinances
of the city of Poplar Bluff,
of the city of Poplar Bluff,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of councilman
the duties of councilman
of said city to the best of my ability.
of said city to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Let you take your seat on the podium.
Item G, the new city council will conduct an election for the purpose of electing mayor and mayor pro tem for the year 2015 and 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Rushing. At this time, the floor is open, and we will receive nominations for the office of mayor for the city of Poplar Bluff for the year 2015 through 2016.
I nominate Jack Rushing for mayor.
I'll second it.
Madam Clerk, I nominate Councilman DeGaris.
I'll second it.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, at this time, nominations will cease, and we'll do a roll call first on Councilman Rushing. As I call your name, yes or no? Hold on just a second. Okay, this is for Councilman Rushing as mayor. Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir,
No.
Councilman Tinsley,
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris,
No.
Councilman Crocker,
No.
and Councilman Rushing.
Yes.
Okay, we have a tie. I still need to call for Councilman DeGaris. Okay, so for Councilman DeGaris as mayor, Councilman Crocker,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson,
No.
Councilwoman Abshir,
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley,
No.
Councilman DeGaris,
Yes.
and Councilman Rushing.
No.
Okay, we do have a tie, so we will have to have a special meeting later this week. Okay, so for the office of Mayor Pro Tem, we will at this time receive nominations.
I'll make a nomination for Dave Johnson.
I'll second it.
Madam Clerk, I nominate Councilman DeGaris.
I'll second it.
Okay, so for Councilman Johnson as Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Tinsley,
Yes.
Councilman Russian,
Yes.
Councilman Crocker,
No.
Councilwoman Abshir,
No.
Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
and Councilman DeGaris.
No.
Okay, we have a tie. And for Councilman DeGaris as Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Johnson,
No.
Councilman Tinsley,
No.
Councilman Russian,
No.
Councilman Crocker,
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir,
Yes.
and Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Again, we will have to have a special meeting this week to determine this. So we'll schedule that tomorrow
Okay.
and get the notice out.
And
Yes, we do.
we have completed our business for the special meeting. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I have a first and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned from the special meeting. Okay. Call to order a regular meeting of the City Council of Poplar Bluff. Roll call on the invocation. Who do you have for invocation?
Councilwoman DeGaris.
Okay. Councilwoman Abshir, would you do the invocation, please?
Oh, Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunities that have been ours that we have had since growing up in this city, and we thank you for the opportunity now to serve. We're thankful for this day and for the blessing of serving it with family and friends in our community. And as we deliberate the things that are before us this evening, we realize that this will affect our city for many years to come. And we pray that the decisions will be pleasing to you and for the best of our citizens. In Jesus' name, amen.
Roll call?
Councilman DeGaris,
Here.
Councilman Crocker,
Here.
Councilwoman Abshir,
Here.
Councilman Tinsley,
Here.
Councilman Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Here.
And Mayor Pearson. We have 6 present.
Okay. Disclosure of interest. Any member of the city council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with a matter discussed in a previous meeting.
There might be a conflict of interest for me. Item F, the city council will discuss an appointment to the finance committee. My direct boss is Christy Shawn. I didn't know if there was going to be a conflict of interest or not on that.
And the voting.
And the voting.
Okay. So noted. Citizens input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the city council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. None being, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes or the consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the city council. If any council member would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and considered separately, he or she may request that. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda for tonight.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second for approval of the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We move to workshop items. The City Council will review a proposed ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an engineering contract with the City of Poplar Bluff and Horner Schifrin, Inc., extending the Trails project for Shelby Road and McLean Park.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, I am requesting the mayor to enter into an engineering agreement with the City of Poplar Bluff and Harlem and Schifrin for contracting services in relations to the MoDOT Trails grant that we received back in December. The grant was in the amount of $400,000 with a cost share of $164,500.
Any questions? Any discussion? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We move this to voting session at the next meeting,
May 4th?
May 4th.
Okay.
Second.
Second. I have a first and second to move item A to the voting session to May 4th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item B, City Council review a proposed contract for aerial application services with Vector Disease Control International LLC for the proposal of mosquito control.
Yes, Pro Tem Russian and members of the council. Mr. Kaplan had Dennis Kirby, our street superintendent, to look in to see what it would cost to do aerial spraying for mosquitoes, something actually the city's talked about for years and never has done. The price came in at approximately close to $10,000 per application. They suggested that we spray twice a month. What Mr. Kaplan wanted to do was maybe try it once or twice and see if it actually helped. I talked to several cities that use this company. I talked to Little Rock, Arkansas, Jonesboro, Arkansas, Paragould, Arkansas, and Hayti, Missouri. Jonesboro and Little Rock had been using them for about 10 years, and they said it's really made a difference in their program. They also said they still use aerial spraying by the trucks on a nightly basis. In fact, every community I called still uses the trucks on a nightly basis. This money is not budgeted for. It's something we'd have to take out of our reserves if we wanted to try this. Currently, we spend around $20,000 a year for ground spraying from the trucks. That includes labor and materials. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
I might have missed part. Did you say, how was their success rate they felt?
They felt like it was very good. One person at Hayti said he didn't think it was as good as it should be. Some of them spray once a month. Some of them spray 3 or 4 times a summer. It just depends on what their budget can afford and how well it works.
Do they have an estimate of, like, what percentage of kill-off or improvement that we would have with regards to spraying?
They say it'll kill them all. The problem you run into is if it rains a few days later, then it's pretty much gone and the mosquitoes are going to rehatch. So
At what time of day is the spraying conducted?
they said it'd be around dusk.
Mr. Mayor, I had a call from one of our citizens that is concerned about this. She has asthma and has had cancer treatments and was very concerned about us spraying like this, and probably there's others too. And I kind of looked at the expense of it too. It says it lasts 2 weeks if it does not rain or if it isn't windy.
Well, I think it's something, that I think we should have workshop as much as we could. I think we have to look into the fact of have the citizens or the pets or the livestock or animals in these other communities, have they had an issue with that? Have people with respiratory diseases have an issue with that? One of the bad things is there's also a health issue on the flip side of that with mosquito infestation, with how different people can contract encephalitis or other disease conditions. But one of the biggest things also is the fact that it really can curtail a lot of our outdoor activity throughout the city and the county. So I think it needs to be looked into in more detail and get more information before we would act upon it. The bad thing about that is we're coming into the season where it's needed. So I think we should get as much citizens input as possible and study it further.
Another of my concerns would be having the plane over the city too. I know I live on the east side, and when they spray down south of Twin Towers, that plane comes right over my front yard. Sometimes I can almost shake hands with the pilot.
Sure. What height did they say they would spray over the city? Do you know?
They didn't,
Okay.
don't know that.
I think we need, I think I think whether we define it, if it's viable or not, we need to have some of these questions answered. I wouldn't be in favor of it if it didn't have substantial benefit. If it doesn't have substantial benefit, I wouldn't be in favor of it, but I think we need more information.
Do you think we could find out that additional information by the next meeting?
Sure,
May.
and to be honest, I'm not sure what chemical they use. I did ask each community if they had any complaints when they started, and basically told me that everybody loved it because it got rid of the mosquitoes, so.
I have the same concerns as Ms. Abshire on the cost of it. You know, we've got just under, what, 23,000 in our budget now for that, and we'll have to spray through the whole time until August. So we're looking, if we do, every 2 weeks, getting probably close to another $100,000.
I see a note here, it says $9,800 per application. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Like I said, it's close to $10,000 per application. And that would be the entire city.
It came out to like $127 an acre or something like that.
Mark, has there been any complaints from these cities about people being outside and getting?
No, I asked if there was any complaints, and they said no. Mr. Kaplan had talked to somebody and said that, it's not like crop dusting. You don't see a powder or mix. He said, in fact, you won't even see anything really falling out of the sky. But like I said, I don't know what chemical it is they're using.
We probably couldn't start this until middle of May, June probably, because of the weather.
Most communities said they start usually the middle of May. So.
And we'll be using the vehicles right now we currently have.
Yes,
So on top of the $22,574, we would have this.
correct. Like I said, he wanted to try it at least once or twice to see if it worked, if you all agreed to it.
So,
But-
but if we did the spraying to actually know the benefit, we probably would vacate the truck usage during that time. I'd say.
To see if it's
'Cause you wouldn't-
worth the money, because
yeah,
you wouldn't.
Yeah.
May I address the council?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Name and
Angela White. I live on Neat Street. I had some similar questions, like what chemicals were they going to be using, what chemicals we've used in the past on our foggers, and have the other cities also implemented integrated pest management? Do they have a larvicide as part of their mosquito abatement program? I understand that the foggers just kill the adults, and whatever chemical they fly over also just kills the adults. And if, in addition to consulting other cities, have we consulted with entomologists, folks who are knowledgeable in resistance to pesticides, how effective the pesticides are going to be, and what can we do as individuals to help abate the mosquito populations in our yards? Those are the kind of things I was wondering if we have researched those as well.
Not that I'm aware of. I know when we first started the mosquito program back in 90 or 91, we actually had people that went out during the day and dropped the pellets in the rice fields where the farmers would allow us to do that. And it actually seemed to work better back then. And I think Dennis Avery used to run the program before Street Department took it over years ago, and I think Dennis actually used a different chemical back then also.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I did use a different chemical than what's being used presently, and spent more money for the use of that chemical because it was a more effective chemical. However, we always applied it either on the streets or on city properties such as parks and all of that. We never went with the aerial. We did go with an aerial one time to treat rice fields, but that was a bacteria. It was not a chemical that was a agent that was going to kill anything other than it was going to affect the larval form of the mosquito in the water. And we did do quite a bit of beyond just the spraying back at that time, and it kind of curtailed over the years. So, and I've not been too involved in this one. Mark and I spoke a little bit today. I don't have a knowledge about the existing and present program they're running. I understand the technology and the types of chemicals that are to be used and things like that. So if in fact Mr. Massingham were to do some more research, I wouldn't mind discussing it. I have a little bit of background in that. Not that I want it back.
I got you.
But I would be willing to maybe answer a few questions if need be.
Okay.
Thank you.
So do you want to do a workshop on this on next meeting, or do you want to do workshop and voting and just make a decision then, or what do you want to do?
I make a motion, we table this and do a workshop on this so we know more about it, get more information on it.
So you got that's a motion you're making?
Right.
All right, is there a second for that same motion?
Second.
Okay, I have a first and second to table the issue for more research on it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item C, the city council review, the city council review quotes received for radio equipment for the Poplar Bluff City Police Department.
So I think Chief Whiteley's here to discuss that.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem and council, I'd like to ask Sergeant Hefner, who he and Captain McLean are our IT specialists, and we also have Zach Zitzelberger, had a hard time pronouncing that one, of Motorola with Grace Communications out of Jonesboro, and I'll ask him to step forward.
Thank you.
Sergeant Hefner, City Police Department. This is Captain McLean, Zach Zitzelberger from Grace. Basically, this all started back in February with the great flood of dispatch 2015, where we had water intrusion come into the actual communications center. Dispatchers working under tarps. We had to relocate from that roughly 500 square foot space to an individual office space. They're working off of a table and a desk in Captain McLean's office at this time, off of tabletop radios. And at that time we had the communications company, formerly Jonesboro Communications, who's been bought by Grace out of Little Rock. They have been assisting us for several years. They come up and pulled all of the radio equipment out, took it back to their shop in Jonesboro to go through it, find out what was usable, if there was damage. And at this point we've leased the building at Three Rivers College, so we've been working there trying to get everything up and running. They have got back to us with a quote of not only reinstalling, but also the ability to upgrade the current radio system from a 2-dispatcher position to 4-dispatcher position, which would currently double our possibilities for large events, major disasters, things like that. We currently have enough equipment in place, minus the radio, that we could operate a third out of those 4 positions at current. We have the records management system as well as the 911 positron phone system. There's just no radio service for a third spot, so that would bring us up. There are occasions we have 3 dispatchers scheduled if no one's on vacation comp time now, and the 4th would also serve as a position for training and or expandability in the future if we take on additional agencies that want to be a part of that communications center. We'd be happy to answer any questions if I've left anything out.
I'm Zach Zitzelberger with Grace Communications, representing Motorola and Grace Communications tonight. If you've got a copy of your quote, it goes through all the itemized parts that it requires to build the system back and get it compatible with an expandability to 4 positions. It's a no-frills system. I mean, it's not a bare bones, but it's not got a bunch of extra bells and whistles on it. It'll do everything you need to do. It has redundancy for every position. And something that you can't do now, if your TAC XDL 5000, which is a model number, if it were to go down, you would have to go to a tabletop radio. But this will allow the dispatcher to not have to move and simply switch the radio on the console and still be able to talk on the TAC encrypted channel to all the officers in the field. It also allows complete redundancy of every unit to have every channel in it. So if half the system goes down, it still operates. It has future expandability. So as systems change, and I know you've seen that over the past few years, it's gone more digital from analog. As new digital systems come in, and they will, you'll still be able to utilize your console. It'll still work for you. We've also, in our quote, basically given you some freebies of upgrading your old consoles to make them compatible with our new ones. We're going to go in, coming up and pulling them out, in the last minute and taking them back, and then bringing them back up, of course. And also, some notes. Upgrading the XTL 5000, get it up to where it needs to be as far as channel steering. Currently, you're strictly using it as strictly the TAC channel, but if there was an issue where you had several units go down, you could actually go in through the console and utilize it for another channel if you needed to, such as the standard Poplar Bluff PD channel. You could still transmit on that. It'll allow you the capability in a disaster, or if you have an event going on in the city, such as a parade, if you want to come in and patch certain organizations as the fire department and the police department together, they can patch 2 or 3 different, even Butler County Sheriff's Office, if they would like, they could push one button and talk to all 3 at the same time and receive. It also includes instant recall record, which is the standard you're supposed to have on these, so that if they miss 30 seconds or a minute of conversation, they can go back and it will replay for them. Do you have any questions?
What's the life expectancy of these?
All of the radios that we've quoted that will be new, it's hard to say life expectancy. At one time in communications field, we'd say 20 years. That's changed. It's changed. I'm going to say at least 10 years out of it, 10 to 15 would probably be pretty accurate. Your XTL 5000 that we're going to upgrade is already on the chopping block. It's been around for quite a while. But it's no need to replace it. The cost of replacing it now wouldn't be worth what you would get out of at least 5 more years of service.
What kind of warranty does it have on it?
All the radios come with a 3-year warranty. Console would be very similar.
The cost on this is $92,000, is that correct?
Yes, sir. That includes the console positions, the radios, installation, the tower, all of your antennas. It's complete turnkey with R56 grounding, and we're pretty particular when it comes to grounding. Motorola has certain requirements, and we follow every requirement to a T.
We had one thing on the grounding last year. It was 3 years ago. I'm sorry, time passes fast. We had lightning hit the tower out here. There were 2 new charges at that time sitting next to this tower. It burned the alternator up in both of these vehicles next to it, and part of it, the grounding, I don't think was sufficient for what we had exposed out there. And lightning damage and or water damage has been our biggest problem on reliability.
Covered by maintenance contract.
Correct.
So this will answer the needs that you all need to have. This will answer the needs you need to have to have this system correct?
And this will, and I don't know if any of you all were there when Chief Roberts from Joplin came over after the tornado. We had that event that Jeff Shawn had with us.
Mm-hmm.
I was seeing them, and communication is certainly one of the primary things you have to have in that kind of event. And with our proximity to the upcoming tornado season and the potential earthquake, I think this would protect the citizens a whole lot better.
You mentioned maintenance has come with a maintenance agreement.
Well, actually, for the past several years, we spent just south of $13,000 a year for the annual maintenance contract for the existing equipment. This year, I did not renew that. Chief Whiteley and I and Jeff Rowland, Deputy Chief Jeff Rowland, we discussed it a little bit, given the age of our equipment and the fact that basically due to water intrusion, we had to relocate dispatch, and that they are operating on a backup tabletop system. We felt that it would be a waste of city money. The times that we have called with an outage, it was told it's an act of God, and it was. It was lightning or water, and it wasn't covered under the maintenance contract. So I believe it was $13,200 and change is no longer being spent as of this year. So that really helps to pay, if so approved, for this 92,000 and change that we are requesting. And as Zach stated, this is a system that will improve what we have, but this is not a situation where we went to Zach and said, hey, we want all the bells and whistles and we want to bring people in and brag about what we have. We are asking for what it would take to get us where we need to be and nothing more. I assure you that.
Thank you. Any further questions?
I'm just like to say, you know, I'm sure the extra, you know, the third and fourth will come in real handy because I've been in that situation. We've had storms and
On any major event such as the flood or the ice
Yeah.
storm, we end up with people answering phones at other locations because they have to carry the information to dispatch because we only have 2 positions. So with 3 dispatchers currently scheduled at certain times now, it can be put to use immediately.
And the additional product of this is to give us a training position within itself. Full CAD capabilities, 911 capabilities, and radio capabilities to conduct training of new personnel.
What would be the time frame?
I will let Zach answer that. He
Okay.
gave us some information that made us happy the other day.
We're looking right at, we got with Brian, and we're looking right at around 3 weeks trying to turn it around that quick for you, which is us basically coming up and putting everything we've got in it. But we're thinking that's a legitimate, doable time frame.
It's pretty quick.
That's fast, yes, sir.
This
So we
in-
build these things all over.
Yeah.
So it's not new for us.
The installation cost on your quote, is that a firm $5,225?
Yes, sir. This is all firm. Everything is.
my only question is, you know, we just spent that, what, 1.5 on the 9/11 center? Is this price included in that?
I talked to Mr. Kaplan this afternoon, and he said there was actually money in the original $5 million loan that we did back last fall that this money could come out of. That's held at Southern Bank.
This looks like a pretty good bid on it then, and if we've already allocated the money, it's not any additional
Yeah, it's in the
expense
bu-
coming
it's in-
out.
It's in the budget.
And
Yeah.
they definitely need it because they need to move.
Mm-hmm. So if there's no other questions, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
It would be moving it to the voting
I'll
session
make a
tonight.
motion, we move it to the voting session tonight.
I have a first, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first. I have a first and second to move item C to the voting session. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Item D, City Council will review a proposed lease agreement between J.R. Rogers and the City of Poplar Bluff for property to be used as a temporary police department.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, again, we have, since the snowstorm and the water stuff, I think everybody in there has probably been through the building, and we had to find someplace to go. And trying to find someplace that will house us was considerably more difficult than what I thought it would be. There's not that many buildings that have that kind of space that's available. Mr. Rogers has the building across from the Shooter's Shack. It used to be Mr. Sneathern's parts store, and then the latest thing, it was a music business out of Jonesboro, Arkansas. And there's a little over, right at 8,000 square feet. We arrived at a figure of $5,000, and I know that's pretty well money out the window, but with the, I think, potential health hazards that we're looking at, liability for the city, if there were to be a suit brought, I think it's money well spent to get out of that place. And I talked to one of the major shopping center owners without naming him. Just said the normal rate for a building such as that is $10 to $12. So at that's somewhere around 6. I think we've probably got or negotiated the best deal we can come up with for our space. And Councilman Johnson has asked about an estimate on the preparing the building, we haven't really sat down and put a pencil to that, but we have enough talented people within our department that I think prefer to maybe put the majority of that stuff together themselves. I think other than material, I don't think we'll be out very much outside the money. Is that accurate, Mike? He's one of the talented people.
Give me too much credit. Right now, we have 6 to 8 personnel that are, again, very talented carpenters, if you will, that are willing to come in, bring their tools and services. That is an open span building. There's, I believe, 3 columns throughout the center, still I-beams. So basically, I think what we're looking at is maybe just going in and gutting it. We are looking at more of an open office floor plan, 2 or 3 offices, and maybe a for the chief, deputy chief, and administrative secretary. The other 2 captains and myself will just use a cubicle type space, provided we have room for a conference room. I think that will fit our needs. Logistical wise, we're going to be going to the VDI appliances. I've spoken with Jordan with ISI, and he believes that we can be ready to go with those appliances, so there will be no moving of the computer towers, monitors, and so on that we currently have. And so basically you can pick your unit up in one hand. So I think that given approval, the walls, which will be 2x4 with a little bit of insulation and sheetrock, will probably stay with all white, make it really simple. We're not looking at expensive floor coverings. We just need a functional building that doesn't leak, doesn't grow mold, and a place to conduct business. With the advent of the mobile computers in the vehicles, which just a little bit of update, we received 27. All 27 are in the field and being used. We do not need the sizable squad room that we had in years past. Mr. DeGarris, you're aware of that, how large it used to be. The officers can now do the majority of their reporting in the field. So space requirements and what we feel like we can get by with, we feel that the 8,000 square feet will handle our needs on a temporary basis. And we would, I assure you, do our best to keep cost at a minimum.
Well, I know you will, and I know you definitely, you got a building you're in, so I think it's necessity.
Sure.
You're still going to keep your patrol cars down?
I think what we're going to do is try to maintain the CID, the Criminal Investigations Division garage that is down here on the northeast corner of the building, as well as some of the storage down here. You know, parking space will be limited at this new facility, provided we get the approval. So there are going to be some workarounds that we're going to have to just sit down and put a pen and paper to things, and space allocation. If we get the green light to move ahead, Sergeant Hefner and I will be there tomorrow to take measurements and then put it into a computer-aided drawing program, and then the roundtable discussions will start for space allocations, and that's where we will get to basically the nuts and bolts of everything.
Let me add one thing. The one thing that we're not moving, except down to the garage behind here, is evidence. That's one of our most critical areas that certainly get people put in prison for messing up or mess up cases. We're going to transfer most of the evidence, we think, at this time to that secure part of that building for evidence intake, of which only one guy does that. Counselor Smith would know that we don't need to have evidence messed up, but it will be taken care of at that until we figure out what we're going to do in the long term.
Sure.
And with that, we will have an alarm system in use, of course, and Sergeant Hefner and I will install a, more than likely, a pan-tilt IP camera that'll be viewed by the communications officers at all times. Help secure that facility.
Very good. Any additional questions or comments? It's on the agenda to be moved to the voting session tonight. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move it to voting session.
Second.
I have a first and a second to move item D, the voting session tonight. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay. Item E, the City Council will review a resolution of official intent of the City Council of Poplar Bluff to issuance a city's industrial development revenue bond in aggregate principal amount not to exceed $4,918,000 to finance a project for the benefit of Mid-Continent Nail Corporation and authorizing certain actions relating it thereunto.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Rush, and I apologize for not being as familiar with this as I should be. We do have a representative from Armstrong Teasdale here who can probably explain it a lot better than I can.
Good evening. My name is Robert Clark. As Mr. Assingham said, I'm an attorney with Armstrong Teasdale, and I'm assisting the city in connection with the proposed industrial development project with respect to Mid-Continent Nail Corporation. The project essentially consists of acquiring and then leasing to the company new manufacturing equipment that would be located at the company's existing facilities in the city. The city would, per the resolution, move forward with preparing the documentation for issuance of industrial development revenue bonds in an amount equal to the equipment to be purchased, the $4,918,000. The city would then also, in connection with that, as the owner of the property, convey a partial tax exemption on that property to the company, which would allow them a certain portion of the tax savings of their personal property tax bill for a period of up to 10 years on the new equipment. It would not affect the existing real estate. It would not affect any of the existing personal property that the company currently owns and uses for its operations. Would point out that the bonds, if approved, would not be a debt of the city. They would be payable solely from revenues derived from the lease with the company. The company would have all essentially obligations for the costs associated with the transaction. And if this resolution were to be approved, our firm would work with Mr. Smith in connection with providing the documentation, which we bring back to the council at the voting session on May 18th. Between now and then, we'd work with the city clerk to send out notice to the other taxing districts who would be affected by the proposed partial tax exemption. Happy to answer any other questions the council may have.
Okay. Yeah. So I need to mark that. Any questions?
Make a motion to move this item to the voting session. Would it be the
May 18th.
18th?
Mm-hmm. I have a first to move, moving item E to voting session May 18th. Do I have a second? I have a first and second. Moving item E to the voting session May 18th, 2015. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Peter? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item F, City Council will, item F, the city will discuss the appointment of the Finance Committee.
Yes, as you'll remember, the Finance Committee was appointed several meetings ago, and Paul Duckett resigned from that committee, and I think the name they have recommended is Christy Shawn.
Make a motion to move it to the voting session to be held tonight.
Second.
I have a first and second to move item F, the voting session tonight. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Peter? Okay. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We'll move into action required items. Item AA, bill number 7D813. City Council will take action on ordinance denying a conditional use permit to sell liquor by the drink at a proposed restaurant in CX3 Central Area Mixed with Commercial Zone District. Property located at 201 South Main, and the applicant is Deanna Deaton Bewlett.
Move for first reading of bill number 7813.
If I may interject here, just to apologize, Councilman Alsher, is that when the ordinance was drafted, it was drafted originally in the negative, which is in your material. It should have been in affirmative. So I'll be reading it in an affirmative. Therefore, if you were against it, it would be a vote no, okay?
You have a corrected ordinance at your place as well.
Do you see it? It should be.
Yes.
I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that, because we originally drafted a negative, which it should not have been done. It should be drafted in affirmative, where the vote would be no or yes, based on affirmative action. as the,
So if you're not in favor of it, you would vote no.
right.
Okay,
Okay. And I think everyone's been provided a copy. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
okay. I have a first and second. Do I have a second for the reading?
Second.
I have a first and second for the first reading. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Mr. Smith?
Thank you. In order to the City of Poplar, Missouri, granting Diana Deaton Bueller a conditional use permit in a CS-3 Central Area Mixed Use Commercial Zone District to sell liquor by the drink at a proposed restaurant located at 201 South Main Street, Poplar Bluff.
Move for second reading. 7813.
Second.
I have a first and second for the second reading of 7813. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Peter? All opposed? Motion carries.
In ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, granting Diana Denton Bueller a conditional use permit in a CS-3 Central Area Mixed Use Commercial Zone District to sell liquor by the drink at a proposed restaurant located 201 South Main Street, Poplar Bluff.
Do I have a motion for adoption?
Motion for adoption.
Second.
I have a motion for adoption. I have a second. Is there any questions or comments?
Shouldn't that be CX3 instead of the CS?
Did he read CS? I had CX.
I read it as, yes, should be 3, CX-3, correct.
Okay. No comments? Roll call?
Councilwoman Abshir?
No.
Councilman Crocker?
No.
Councilman DeGaris?
No.
Councilman Johnson?
No.
Councilman Tinsley?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
No.
The bill fails.
Item BB, Bill Number 7814, City Council will take an action on ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Civics Plus for the creation of the City Poplar City Bluffs webpage. Website.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd
Yes,
like
sir.
to have this bill tabled. The reason why is I don't think all of us, especially some of the new council, don't have all the needs on this. And I think we need to table this to workshop it more so we get more idea of what's going on.
Okay. I have a motion to table item, or Bill Number 7814. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. No. Okay. All right, I have a first and second for tabling 7814. All in favor, say aye.
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 Peter?
No.
Okay. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries to table. Okay, Bill Number 7815, City Council will take an action, ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement for the temporary police station.
I make a motion for first reading.
Second.
I have a motion for first reading and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, Mr. Smith?
In ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, authorizing the mayor of the city to execute a lease agreement with J.R. Rogers for a temporary police station located at 1111 Poplar Street, Poplar Bluff.
Move for second reading.
Second.
I have a motion for second reading and a second for Bill Number 7815. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
In ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, authorizing the mayor of the city to execute a lease agreement with J.R. Rogers for a temporary police station located at 1111 Poplar Street, Poplar Bluff.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion to adopt Bill Number 7815. Is there any question or comment? Roll call?
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilman Crocker?
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
6 yes votes, it passes.
Motion passes, the bill passes. Bill Number 7816, the City Council will take action on ordinance accepting a bid for radio equipment for the Poplar Bluff City Police Department.
Move for first reading.
Second.
I have a motion for first and second reading of Bill number 7816. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, authorizing the City Council to accept a bid from Grace Communications, Inc. for radio equipment for the Poplar Bluff Police Department.
Move for second reading.
Second.
I have a motion for second, for motion and a second for second reading. It's Bill number 7816. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, authorizing the City Council to accept a bid from Grace Communications, Inc. for radio equipment for the Poplar Bluff Police Department.
Move to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Bill number 7816. Is there any question or comment? Roll call?
Councilman Crocker,
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir,
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rush.
Yes.
Passes with a 6-0 vote.
Okay. Resolution 1819, the City Council will take an action in resolution making an appointment of the Finance Committee.
Motion for first reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for first reading, resolution number 1819. Mr. Smith?
A resolution of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, making an appointment to the Finance Committee for the city.
Move for adoption of resolution number 1819.
Second.
I have a first and second for adoption of resolution 1819. Any question or comment? Roll call?
Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir,
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Rush.
Yes.
We have 5 yes votes.
Resolution FF. No, it's not FF, no, it's City Council, okay. City Council, that completes our action required items. City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff will meet in a closed session meeting which they will discuss such matters as are exempted under the Open Meetings Law, Section 610.021.1 RSMO litigation, and Section 610.021.3 RSMO personnel.
Motion to move to closed meeting.
Motion to adjourn from open meeting.
Right, and motion to adjourn.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and second motion to close open meeting and move to closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Do you want to do a city manager?
I'd just like to mention a couple of things. Saturday evening, the Poplar Bluff Museum, which is located at the old Mark Twain School on Main Street, held a fundraiser. Mayor Pro Tem Rush and I were both there. Great event. They raised over $10,000. That's a city building, and the city, other than insuring the building, does not put much money into that building. It needs some more tuck pointing done on it, and that's one of the reasons they were raising that money. So hopefully this will be an annual event. I'd just like to commend them for raising money to help restore that old building. If nobody's been in there, it actually started with the Poplar Bluff Sports Hall of Fame room. It's expanded to a conservation room, postal room, military room, a Butler County history room, and a police and fire room upstairs. I also have a bowling Hall of Fame. It's just a great place. I had several people came up to me that night and said they'd never been in there and they did not realize there was so much history in that building. So if you ever get a chance, go in there. It's open on Sunday afternoons, I think, from 2 to 4. And the only other thing is this Saturday is Buff Up the Bluff. So if you have any things you need to get rid of, please come out and take care of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Stand adjourned.